Hey guys, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I roll tack in light winds, so let's get right into it. So right now my coach wanted me to do a couple of roll tacks in front of everyone in 4 knots, and we have about 5 to 6 knots of wind, so we're only moving about 1 or 2 knots, which is not that fast. So our roll tacks are very important for today, so we need to get the most amount of power out of that rig as we possibly can. So right here I just hopped into my boat and I am just about to mess with my controls a little bit. So what I do is I put on a bit of kicker and I main sheet in, so my block is roughly 3/4 of a foot away from my other block, as you can see right there. You don't want it any tighter than that, otherwise you're going to start depowering your rig. And what I've done with my out haul, I have put it out about a fist's width away from the boom with the kicker on, because if you have it too loose, the wind's just going to get trapped in the sail, and if you have it too tight, the wind's just not going to catch in the sail. So you want it like roughly in the middle. And then with my downhaul, I just put it on a tiny bit to get rid of the creases so it doesn't interrupt my airflow in my rig. So what I'm doing here is putting my knees into the leeward deck and pushing my body weight to leeward, so my bow of my boat heads up into the wind, and I'm using a tiny bit of rudder to push away to guide the boat into wind. And then as soon as the sail starts to back or flap, because it means it's heading to wind, you heel that boat right on top of you, and then you swap sides gently. And as you flatten your boat back down, you let about a foot or 2 of main sheet out, and then as soon as your boat is flat, you pull that 1 or 2 foot of main sheet you just let out and pull that back in. So what I just did, I just made a little mistake. I accidentally let go of my main sheet, but that's fine. We're at the very beginning, we haven't had a warm up or anything, so we're going to make a couple of mistakes, but as soon as we warmed up, we shouldn't be making any mistakes. So as you can see in the slow motion clip, I'm putting my main sheet in as tight as I want it, which is about 3/4 of a foot today. In stronger winds you want it block to block. And then I'm putting my knees on that deck, heeling my boat to leeward, and as soon as that sail starts to back, or if you don't know what that means, basically when the sail starts to flap, you heel that boat straight back on top of you. You duck underneath that boom, and because it's light winds you want to stay on that side for a couple of seconds. Then you swap sides, let a foot or 2 of main sheet out, and as soon as your boat is flat you pull that back in and it should glide you across the water. And as you can see in this next tab, I'm putting my main sheet pretty much all the way in and then heeling that boat. Because if you don't have a main sheet pulled in, the sail is just gonna go across the boat very, very slowly, but we want it close to the boat so it goes over quicker. So we're heeling a boat, see right there, our sail backed, and as soon as our sail backed, we heeled that boat straight back on top of us. And you can see in this slow motion video clip right here, I stay on that side for an extra couple of seconds because it's really, really light wind. So we want to make sure we have a lot of heel on our boat before we flatten our boat down, so we can pump that rig as much as we can so we can get the most power out of our rig possible. And also the reason we let out our main sheet a foot or 2, especially in strong winds, you want to let your main sheet out as you flatten your boat, because if you don't in strong winds you're more likely to capsize, because if you don't let go you're gonna pretty much overpower your rig and you won't be able to flatten your boat, and then your boat would just keep going to leeward and then it eventually capsize. So you see right there in that slow motion clip, that's a pretty good roll tack. And then after I finished my roll tack, I pulled that in that min sheet, leftover min sheet. So with these roll tacks, you want to be quite light and agile in the boat. You don't want to be like heavy and violent and that lot. So in light winds, you want to be very light and you want to be smooth. You want to use less body maneuvers in your boat as possible, because the more you disturb the wind in the sail, the slower you're going to go. So you want to be quite still in your boat. You want to make it more like one movement. In strong winds, you can be heavy and as like violent as you want to be when it's in strong winds, but in light winds, be very light and gentle. So as you just saw that, I just slightly over pumped it, but because I had that 1 or 2 feet of min sheet out, I could pull that back in, and then that like re-pumped me, like it gave me an extra boost, sort of. It kind of gives you an extra pump in a way. So if you look at my rudder right here, I'm using it way too much. So that's my weakness at the moment for roll tacking. I need to use less rudder. So for the next couple of months, that's what I'm going to be trying to improve, and use less rudder as possible, because that rudder acts like a handbrake pretty much. So the more rudder you use, the slower you're going to go in your roll tacks. See right here, on my boat, see my rudder, way too much. It shouldn't be coming out of that inner cockpit, as you can see. It's gone past the inner cockpit, so that's too much rudder. But as soon as I flatten my boat, you can see that rudder went straight back into the middle, and I pulled in the rest of my main sheet. See right there, I stayed there for a couple of extra seconds just to get that extra big hill. So right here, I hilled the boat on top of me a little bit too quickly, so I stopped my boat. So right there was a little mistake I made. So now I'm driving around one more time, and I'm going to do a final roll tack. So we sheet in that main sheet before we hill our boat, and make sure we have kicker on. Pull in that main sheet, hill our boat to leeward, didn't hill it much to leeward, and then swap sides, flatten our boat, and then that's it. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did like it, give it a massive thumbs up, and if you like this content, please subscribe, and I should be posting roughly once a week, so hit that notification bell to remind you when my next video comes up. Keep sailing, stay safe, and I'll see you out in the water. Love guys, peace, bye.